Welcome back, everyone. And we're discussing plasma donations. And thank you very much, Teri-Mai, for your explanation about plasma and why it is so important. And two of the people here that it's very important to are Nadine Law and also Hayden Morrison and his mom. They are both, Hayden and Nadine are both recipients of plasma. So maybe tell us a bit about your story, Nadine, and why do you need plasma? Why is it so important for your life?
Okay, so 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with a disease that is called common variable immunodeficiency. I was born with it, but because it's so rare, I had such a late diagnosis in life. So I went, a lifetime of no treatment, being chronically ill. And so when I was diagnosed 6 years ago, it was, well, it kind of reassured that I wasn't crazy. You really do feel that way when you're sick your whole life and nobody can find the answers. So I started treatment then, and it has literally, it's been life-saving and life-changing for myself. Unfortunately, because of not having treatment my whole life, it has also affected my organ damage, and I have a number of autoimmune diseases due to it. Your body's in fight or flight response its whole life, right? And it's fighting. So these autoimmune diseases have developed, and so in fact, one of them is actually treated with plasma as well. So that we've just over the last couple months have increased my plasma to now 3 times a week.
Wow.
So I'm on a very, very high dose. So I do it, three times a week. And I do it from home. It's an infusion. I get it from the blood bank. And it really does sustain, it replaces all the antibodies my body doesn't produce. So basically with this disease, our immune system is faulty. It doesn't have the IgG, IgA, IgM antibodies necessary, right, to sustain the life and to fight off infections. Everybody manifests it differently in different varieties of, perhaps how Hayden presents it is different than I do because of the different antibodies involved. So the plasma has been great. It was something I wanted to create awareness about last year. So I started getting involved. As my health was declining, I wanted to learn more about it. Mm-hmm. And so I also became I sit on the steering committee for the Canadian Immunodeficiency Organization. And it was something that I thought I could get involved with Canadian Blood Services, to create this awareness. So it's been, it certainly has been a life of, like I said, chronic illness. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to change that, right? That's the past. But what I can do now is ensure the awareness is there so that other patients like Hayden, that are getting diagnosed young and getting the treatments that they need so they don't have to have that, that chronic illness, the chronic infections. So
Nadine, when you mentioned that it's 3 times a week and you do it at home, how long does it take you to, like how much time of your life is spent with these infusions?
I would give it 2.5 to 3 hours each time. And that's in the evening. I've been trying to do it in the morning while I'm working. I've been trying to get into that habit so that it doesn't eat up the rest of my day. But I also I run the risk of going into anaphylactic shock, right? I have to be careful, and I'm doing it. I have to pre-medicate every time I do. I did do IVIG, which is when you go in the hospital once a month and have it the whole month's worth given in that day. But unfortunately, my body, I went into aseptic meningitis from it. So we tried again, didn't work. So I had to move to the sub-Q infusions. So it does take a lot of time.
But it's life-saving.
It certainly is. You know, you
Yeah.
can't compare it to anything. So, and
Yeah.
and really, and since I increased the dose, the neuropathy pain from the one autoimmune disease has decreased a lot. So,
Oh, wow.
you know, so not only is it preventing the infections, it's actually decreasing my pain. So it for me, it has been a great experience, and I would like to encourage people to get out as well, that have received their COVID vaccine. Perhaps we can touch on this now, or we can touch on it later, Gwen. I just wanted to sort of mention that in my situation, vaccines don't respond. So the COVID vaccine, I will not be getting. It's not that it's going to hurt me, but with like the flu, the pneumonia shot, all those, my body doesn't produce a response to it.
Okay.
So you know, us with this type of disease, it's like we're the last to enter society, because we don't have any protection. So I encourage people to get their vaccine so we can have our herd immunity, right?
Yeah,
We really
very
need this
good.
herd immunity. So get your vaccine. And then please consider donating plasma, because what happens there is once that plasma has the antibodies, makes its way into the system where Hayden and I can access it. So I'm thinking another 8 months to another year. This has been going on for already a year. So, and that is how we get our immunity, any
Well,
type
that's
of
good to
immunity.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good to know for
So,
sure. Yeah. Well, thank you, Nadine and Hayden and Shannon. Thank you so much for participating too. And Hayden, how are you feeling about all of this? Yeah. And Shannon, maybe talk a bit about Hayden and why does he need plasma?
So he's got the same disease as Nadine has. He's got common variable immunodeficiency, and his is also called hypogammaglobulinemia, so he doesn't make IgG. He was diagnosed when he was about 3,
Okay.
but they don't treat until 5 years of age at sick kids. Usually some kids will grow out of it, some kids won't. Hayden is one that won't grow out of it. It'll be a lifelong treatment for him.
And how did you know at age 3, what sort of signs were there that there was an issue that you needed, that there was something wrong?
He was a full-term baby, but it was maybe when he was about 6 months, something wasn't right. He was always getting sick. He had pneumonia, things that really full-term babies shouldn't have, and he wasn't growing. He was diagnosed with failure to thrive. And I'm a nurse, so I didn't really agree with this diagnosis, and I didn't understand why. And so I would bring him to different doctors and we'd see different specialists. And it actually wasn't until my sister's a nurse practitioner on Manitoulin Island. She had a sign in her office, and it kind of had checklists of if you or your child has any of these, and you should be investigated for a immunodeficiency. So I went back to my pediatrician. Hayden was having blood work done at the time, so he added them on, and it ended up that all of his immunoglobulins were abnormal. I've had to be a real advocate for him his entire life. You don't always get taken, as Nadine said, you don't always get taken seriously, or they think it's something else, but I always knew that there was something that was not right.
Well, and I think you do have to sort of trust your motherly instinct. It's not just mothers, but that instinct, you do have a sense when something is not right. And certainly being in the medical profession, you have even more of a heightened awareness. But sometimes being the mom of somebody with that type of disease, you're just a mom, right? You just want to try to find the answers, and you have to be an advocate for your son, for sure. So now, so Hayden, how many times a week do you have plasma?
We go once a month.
Once a month.
Once a month, okay.
He
And
goes between 21 and 28 days, usually around there.
So you live in Sudbury, or you're coming from? Do you live in Sudbury, or are you coming from another city to get these?
So We live in Sault Ste. Marie.
Okay.
When he was first started his treatment, we used to have to go to Sick Kids once a month, and he would get his IVIG there.
Okay.
But we have a really good hospital here. So he's able to get it here, so we don't have to travel anymore at all. It's wonderful.
Oh,
So he
that's
just
great.
misses one day of school. Usually we go in the morning, and it's it takes about between 5 and 6 hours, sometimes longer, depending on if the hospital's busy or. So
Mhm.
we don't have to travel far. We live about an hour from the Sioux, so he
Okay.
goes there to get it. So it's very convenient, and the nurses on the pediatric floor are wonderful. And
So Hayden, when do you feel different when you don't get it? Like, do you start to feel before you get the plasma? Do you feel different at all, or do you have a sense?
A little bit.
Yeah. And how do you feel when you get the plasma donation?
Kind of tired.
Yeah.
But
But it helps, right? It helps you makes you feel better. Yeah. And it's a good thing that people are donating plasma, right? Because it helps you live a long, healthy life.
Yeah.
How
he's
old are
rarely sick these days. Usually before, when he
Yeah.
was younger, before his IVIG, he was sick all the time, and now he's just so healthy.
Oh,
He's
that's
thriving
wonderful.
for sure.
Yeah. How old are you, Hayden?
10.
10? Yeah. So what's your interest? What do you like to do? Do you like to play games on the computer?
Yeah. I like snowmobiling, four-wheeling, and fishing and hunting.
Wow, excellent. Well, and you know what? You're in a good place for all that for sure. Northern Ontario has lots of those things, eh? Well, I'm so happy that we have plasma donations that can make you healthy and that you can do all those things for the rest of your life. That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your stories, Nadine and Hayden. And we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to two people that help make that happen for you, two donors, Lori and Jamie. And we'll be right back.